Namaskar. Hello friends, I am Major Saras Tripathi. Again, we are going to discuss today chapter number 10, that is about reservation. As you know, this is a very controversial topic to some extent and very hotly debated in the entire nation among all the communities. So, we will be discussing today the pros and cons, the historical background and the future of reservation. In chapter 10 of my book, Silent Constitution, Dangerous Consequences in English and Maun Samvidhan Bhayanak Parinam in Hindi, in chapter 10 I have written about the reservation. So, the first question comes, what is the proposal? The proposal in this chapter is to create a commission that will be known as Reservation Reforms Commission Act. So, the proposal is to the Parliament of India and Government of India to legislate an act that will be known as Reservation Reforms Commission Act. And this will be a commission that should be empowered by the government and its recommendations should be mandatory to be implemented. And the commission should carry out deep study about reservation, what are the repercussions and what are the outcomes, what is the future, what are the weaknesses, what are the shortcomings, and all remedial recommendations should be given by the commission to the government and it should be implemented. So, the proposal is to enact a law about Reservation Reforms Commission. The second question comes, why this proposal? Naturally, it is a very important question. Why this proposal? Because initially the reservation was given only for 10 years. There are many reasons why it needs a review. Initially the reservation was given only for 10 years. That too only for representation in the state legislative assemblies and in the parliament. Later on, its scale and scope both were increased. Scale in the sense because the reservation that was initially given 23% has today reached in some states up to 82% in Chhattisgarh and 75% in Maharashtra. Even in central government, the reservation is as of today 60%, but effectively it is 64%. That we will be deliberating and discussing later part of this discussion. So, coming again to the why this proposal, because we need to see how the scope and scale of reservation was increased from 23% to 82% in Chhattisgarh or 60% in central government or at various percentage in various states. Second thing is the scope. Initially the reservation was only for representation in state assemblies and in the parliament for SC and ST communities. Before framing of the constitution, the word scheduled caste and scheduled tribes was not existing. The Britishers had created a new word that was depressed class, that was translated in Hindi as Dalit. So, initially it was for the representation only. Later on it was extended for government service, then it was given for promotion and further its scope was increased to admission in educational institutions. So, scale, that is percentage, and scope, that is the reservation extension into variety of places had taken place in last 72 years. Now, before proceeding we must see the background of reservation, how it originated. In 1902, Maharaja of Kolhapur, Chhatrapati Shahuji Maharaj was the first one to give reservation to all the castes except Brahmins in his state. In the definition of modern reservation system, this is the first effort by any ruler to give reservation to people whom he perceived or considered backward. In his opinion, except Brahmins, everybody was backward, so he reserved 50% seats in his state for everyone except Brahmins. It is understood that Maharaja of Mysore also had tried in 1898, but after carefully studying and being advised, he had abandoned the idea. So, Maharaja Chhatrapati Shahuji Maharaj was the first one to introduce reservation in 1902. Later, the Britishers, as they always wanted to divide the society, besides Christians, Muslims and other religious groups, they wanted to give reservation to the depressed class also, because then there at that point of time there was no scheduled caste, scheduled tribe. In 1931, after round table conference, the Prime Minister of England, Mr. Ramsay MacDonald, declared his communal award. Under this award, certain percentage of seats were reserved separately for the depressed classes. Mahatma Gandhi, who has participated in the round table conference and has resisted any kind of effort like this, after declaration of communal award, he sat on armored unction, and that time he was in jail. Rather, he was put in jail because of his dharna, and he requested Dr. Bhima Rao Ambedkar, who had welcomed the reservation system, and he said that we should not divide the society. Rather, from among the seats given to Hindus, there will be seats reserved for the depressed classes. After very long negotiation, nothing came out because Gandhi and Ambedkar were not face to face, and Pandit Madan Mohan Malvi was requested by Mahatma Gandhi to go and negotiate with Dr. Bhim Rao Ambedkar so that the society is not divided. Rather, Hindu society is not divided. Both were very wise leaders and they sat together. Finally, a pact was signed. Dr. Ambedkar agreed to cede to his demand of having a separate electorate, separate share of reservation, and it was promised to him that once India becomes independent, there will be provision for reservation in the constitution for the depressed classes. And as of now, whatever seats are allocated to Hindus from amongst them, they will be given certain percentage, and it was implemented also. Accordingly, in 1947, when India became independent and there was Constituent Assembly, Dr. Bhim Rao Ambedkar was appointed as the chairman of drafting committee. There were seats of reservation in the constitution. However, to give reservation in legislative assembly and in the parliament, the first amendment was carried out in the Constitution of India in 1951 in the article 16, and sub-article 4 was created to give reservation to the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes. It will be prudent here to clarify that the word scheduled caste, scheduled tribes comes from the constitution, because after independence, those who were called depressed classes by the British and its equivalent in Hindi, Dalit, they were classified in two categories. One, those who were staying within the society and were considered depressed, and the other who were away from the so-called society and mostly living in the forest areas, they were called scheduled tribes. There were other criteria based on which SC and ST were classified, and these castes were kept in a schedule, separate list, two separate lists. So that list was called schedule, and so scheduled caste, and the other list was called scheduled tribes. That is how the name is derived, scheduled caste, scheduled tribes. In 1951, 15% reservation for SC and 7.5% reservation for ST was given in the Lok Sabha and state assemblies. This was the original provision, and it was only for 10 years. After 10 years, it was supposed to be scrapped. However, there was provision in case the nation, the government, the legislature, that is the parliament and the state assemblies, they feel that it is further required, they can extend the reservation for next 10 years. Accordingly, from 10 years to 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 70 years, 72 years, it is still carrying on, and it seems it is not going to be phased out soon. That is why there is a need for Reservation Reforms Commission. Nobody is against reservation, because any person who has reasonable amount of understanding of the Indian society will agree that there are classes, there are people who are backward, and there are classes, there are people who are depressed. They certainly need reservation. But it should not be without applying the mind. Like, Why this reforms commission is required? If you really see, in scheduled caste, let us take scheduled caste example. In scheduled caste also there is an elite class which has developed. If there is no filtration, there is no restriction, the same people are getting benefit of reservation time and again. So within scheduled caste society itself, the reservation now is getting percolated down, and there are people who are not able to get the benefit of reservation. Similarly in scheduled tribes also. Now moving to the historical background again, after giving a reservation in the state assembly and the parliament for representational purpose to scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, when the Janata Party government came into power in 1977, under the leadership of Morarji Desai, he set up a commission that is popularly known as Mandal Commission. Actually, it was other backward class commission in the chairmanship of Mr. B.P. Mandal. He gave certain recommendations, but because of the fall of the government and other priorities, nobody gave any damn. In 1989, when V.P. Singh became the Prime Minister, and because of various reasons, when BJP threatened to pull down the government, he thought of playing the OBC card, and he took out the Mandal Commission report and declared that he will be giving 27% reservation to so-called OBC, other backward classes. So effectively bringing complete reservation to 50%. There were agitations, there was students' agitation, the entire society was in turmoil. However, finally the government could get through its proposal and 27% reservation was given to OBC. Further, when Modi government came into power, it accepted the demand of so-called general category to give 10% reservation to the people who are economically backward among the general category. So effective reservation in central government reached to 60%. That is how the scale has moved from 23% to 50% to 60%. Now, as per the Supreme Court ruling, if somebody is not taking benefit of reservation and he is in the merit of the general category, or rather even if somebody is from OBC or scheduled caste, but he is in the merit of the general category, he will not be considered from scheduled caste quota and he will be given seat from among the general category. Resultantly, the effective reservation in central services has reached 64%. So whatever is left out for the general category is effectively 35 to 36% seats. The condition in the states is extremely bad. Tamil Nadu from the beginning itself had 69% reservation. Many states have reservation which is humongous and not acceptable or reasonable. So those who are affected, they reached the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court had given a ruling in Indira Sahini case that all kind of reservation included, it should not exceed 50% limit. However, where the central government followed it by and large, state governments had never followed. That is why reservation in different states is different. That I will read out from the book, because for accuracy I must take the reference. This is the status of reservation as of today in different states. In Lakshadweep it is 100%, in Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Mizoram and Nagaland 80%, in Chhattisgarh 69% effective. However, the proposed one is 82%, which is under litigation in the High Court. In Maharashtra presently it is 62%, however proposed is 75%. In Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Delhi, Jharkhand, Karnataka, Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Sikkim, Telangana, Tripura and Uttar Pradesh it is 60%. In Rajasthan, Orissa, Himachal Pradesh, Gujarat and Assam it is 59%. In West Bengal 55%, in Manipur 54%, in Haryana 53%, in Punjab and Goa 51%, in Andaman and Nicobar and Pondicherry 50%, in Uttarakhand 44%, in Dadra and Nagar Haveli 39%, in Chandigarh 27%. So this is the state of reservation as of today. As we can see, most of the states have exceeded the quota prescribed by the Supreme Court. I have given some pie charts for ease of understanding that I would like to show, and that can be accessed in the book. That will show the state of reservation in an easy way. This is the chart. This shows the initiation of reservation. The green area is unreserved in 1951. Then later in 1989, the scope increased and 50%, only 50% seats were left for the general category. Later again, after 10% reservation for economically weaker section. This is the third position when the reservation has taken a chunk of the percentage. As proposed in Chhattisgarh, if Chhattisgarh gets through, this is the green area, this is the only percentage which will left for the general categories. And if the Maharashtra government gets its way, this is the percentage, that is 75%, which will be left for general category. So the situation is quite alarming. The reservation is reaching 82%, which cannot be accepted by any civilized society, because merit needs to be also respected. In central government, this is the state, the one which is in blue, that is for SC, the red is, this one is for ST, the green is for unreserved, the purple, this one is for OBC, and the blue, this 10% is for economically weaker section, and rest is, that is the saffron color is for others, that is physically handicapped, ex-servicemen and Muslims. So if you see, effectively the reservation in the central government is also close to 64%. Now coming to the need of the commission is required to look into several issues, and some of the important issues that the Reservation Reforms Commission needs to look into are as mentioned here. One, it needs to look into the reservation that is being availed by scheduled castes and scheduled tribes without any filtering or without any restriction. There is one elite class which is created among these societies that is not allowing the benefit of reservation to percolate down. So there is turmoil, there is demand among scheduled caste itself that, like in OBC, there should be creamy layer in scheduled caste and scheduled tribes also, or there should be some provision where once one family has availed a reservation, then the second generation should not be given, or if a person has availed reservation once in for the entry in the educational institutions, they should not be given reservation in the service. So there are many possible filters that can be applied to prevent the same person or the same family to time and again reap the benefit of reservation. Let me clarify here, I am not recommending withdrawal or reduction of percentage in the reservation. There has to be filtration so that the reservation benefit percolates down below in the same community. Else what will happen, those people who are getting the benefit of reservation, they will keep on getting, and those who are really depressed, those who are really backward, they will not get the benefit of the reservation. This is happening, and when I talk to people in the society, there is resentment, and within scheduled caste, scheduled tribes community also people want this kind of change. Second filter can be the economic condition. If a person has certain level of income, like in the OBC case, they should be taken off the reservation list. Like as far as I remember correctly, in OBC, if somebody is having income of more than 8 lakhs per annum, he is not eligible for reservation. Similar thing should be applied to the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes also. Second recommendation is that there are certain castes which are very dominant, and there should be a study carried out whether they are overrepresented or underrepresented or adequately represented. Any caste which is adequately represented should be withdrawn from the list of reservation, so that other castes in the same category should get the benefit of reservation. For example, in ST community, there is one dominant caste that is taking almost 60 to 70% of the quota of reservation. Other castes that are clubbed in ST, they are not getting appropriate benefit or adequate benefit of reservation because of one dominant caste being there. Similarly, in OBC, there are 2 to 3 castes which are very dominant, and rest are actually backward, they are not getting any benefit. So there is a need for proper study, data analysis, and find out that which caste is dominating, and overrepresented or adequately represented, they should be taken off the list. That is how the benefit of reservation will percolate down. 3. Those who are really poor and backward among the general category, they should also be given certain benefits, not necessarily reservation. Like one example I will give. For scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, when they are fulfilling the form for any government job, they need not to pay any fee irrespective of their status, economical or social. Whereas a person coming from general category, irrespective of his economical status, he has to pay the fee. If you have to fill 10 forms, it becomes almost impossible for them to bear the cost. So simply government what can do is that they should exempt the poor people, economically weaker people and socially weaker people from among the general category also from paying this kind of fee. Fourth, what can be done is that those who are being given free coaching among scheduled caste, scheduled types and OBC, the similar facility should be given to the poor people among the general category also. Ultimately, it is not a destructive competition where once one community is being lifted and other is being crushed. India being a welfare state has to look after every segment of the society irrespective of their religion, caste, region, language or place of birth. It should not happen that once one community is uplifted, the other community is downtrodden. So it's very important that this kind of reservation reforms are brought in. So the main aim of this proposal, that is what I have proposed to the Government of India and Parliament of India to bring a legislation known as Reservation Reforms Commission Act and form a commission that should independently, impartially look into the entire gamut of reservation and recommend important changes that should make the society progressive, and it should give equity, equality and justice to every community. Thank you very much. Namaskar.